Sabbatot, but during the week she loves it. But it's really my pleasure to be here. And if you don't mind. Okay, now it's much better. What we will try to do is we'll try to obviously analyze the narrative, try to derive some conclusions that will be relevant to us, and also to try to understand a little bit the agenda or the motivation of the mefarshim of the Torah. So what I would like to discuss with you tonight is universal ethics. And what do I mean by that? If you look at the first source, Vayigdelu hane'arim, so that's from last week's Parsha, Vayigdelu hane'arim, ויהי עשיו איש יודע ציד איש שדה ויעקב איש תם יושב אוהלים. So when you look at these two biblical figures, without, let's say, any knowledge in advance, so you will look at Esav and you will look at Yaakov, and you will say something that probably Esav is more of a, what I will call a seasoned person. He's a hunter, he's going back and forth, he's dealing with people, he's ish tzad. And Yaakov is like a naive guy, sits in a tent, does not know much, probably can be deceived, probably can be cheated, probably people can tell him all sorts of things without really him knowing that he's being deceived, right? It seems to be like that. And also, we know that when Rivka told Yaakov, go ahead and steal the blessings and deceive your father, Yaakov says to Rivka, ויאמר יעקב אל רבקה אמו, and עשיו אחי איש שעיר ואנוכי איש חלק. עשיו is very hairy and I am smooth. אולי ימושני אבי והייתי בעיניו כמתעתע. Maybe I will deceive my father and he will figure it out. והבאתי עליי קללה ולא ברכה. And I will bring upon myself a curse and not a blessing. So, at the end of the day, Yaakov was able to deceive his father and to receive two types of blessings. What was the first one? What was the first blessing? By the way, it's going to be interactive, so don't fall asleep and please participate. Okay, what was the first blessing that Yaakov received? Yes, and your name, please. Ashira, Ken. יפה מאוד, perfect. Your Hebrew is also very good. Okay, you almost deceived me. Okay, but very good, Ashira. Ashira was correct. Two blessings. One is what we will call the material bracha. ויתן לך אלוקים מטל השמיים ומשמני הארץ ורוב דגן ותירוש יעבדוך וישתחוו לך הווה גביר. יפה מאוד, כל הכבוד. So Ashira also knows the psukim, חידון התנ"ך or something like that? Not yet. Oh yes? Okay, very good. And the second bracha is what we call Birkat Avraham, which is you're going to be the descendant, you're going to be the heir for Avram's legacy, and from you we will have Am Yisrael. Okay. So now, as you all know, end of Parashat Toldot, Esav would like to kill Yaakov, and Yaakov is being summoned to his parents, and his parents tells him what? You need to go to find a wife. Okay, so he needs to go to whom? To his mother's family. Okay, and then take a look. Third source, וישא יעקב רגליו וילך ארצה בני קדם. So Yaakov is basically on his feet and he walks to בני קדם. וירא, and he saw, והנה באר בשדה. There is a well in the field. והנה שם שלושה עדרי צאן רובצים עליה. So you have some shepherds and flock around the well. כי מן הבאר ההיא ישקו העדרים והאבן גדולה על פי הבאר. That was the central well, that was the central water source, and from there they will water the shepherds, the flock. ונאספו שם כל העדרים וגללו את האבן מעל פי הבאר. So all the shepherds will gather together in order to remove this major rock that was on the well. Just imagine, every day to do the same thing. Now, hold on. Why would they do it every day? Why just not to leave it open? It makes no sense, right? You put a major rock, you need to wait for everyone to come together and to remove the rock, to do it every day. Why would you just leave it open? Close it before Shabbat. What do you think? What can we learn from it? Yes, your name please first. Yael. Okay. Very good. So Yael is talking about something that it's unethical in society, meaning there is no trust. People feel that if I will leave this well, this water source open, someone will take more than the other, and someone will take advantage on the other. So therefore, זה משתלם להם, it's better for them to do what? To gather all of them, to put this huge rock on the well, and then to wait for everyone to come and to remove it every day. So you can understand that we are not talking about a society with too much trust. By the way, just contrast it with Avraham ve'ohel. Ohel is what? Open. People can come in and out. There's no problem. And with them, you see immediately a society where there is no trust. Okay. ויאמר להם יעקב, אחי, מאין אתם? ויאמרו מחרן אנחנו. So he, Yaakov, comes and basically says to them, what is Achai? Achai? My brothers. Where are you from? Oh, I know where are you from. Bruchot habaot. Where are you from? And he considered them as my brothers. Now, I want to ask you a question. You see a group of girls that you don't know at all from a different city. How would you approach them? Maybe hi or something like that, right? Would you call them, hey sisters? How are you doing? What's going on? Where are you from? Who is going to do it? Who is going to act like that? Please, raise your hand. What's your name? Sarah. Okay, so Sarah is going to do it. Okay, we will do a test. We'll go out in a few minutes and we will see. Okay? So we all understand that it's a bit weird to call some shepherds that you have no clue who they are. And by the way, Yaakov is fleeing his own country and his own home. He is homeless. He has no family. He doesn't even know how Lavan looks like. And he needs to go and he approached this group of strangers, not strange people, strangers, in such a lovely way and such a friendly way. Hey, brothers, how are you doing? Okay, so we will need to address it, obviously. And they say, Mecharan anachnu. Now, they are very dry and unfriendly. He calls them, hey, brothers, where are you from? Haran. You would expect that they will say what? Hey, brother, where are you from? Right? Doesn't happen. ויאמר להם, הידעתם את לבן בן נחור? Do you know Lavan, the son of Nahor? And they respond, ידענו. Yes, we know. Would you mind helping me? They do not cooperate. ויאמר להם, השלום לו. Do you know if he's okay, if he's well? ויאמרו שלום, yes, he's okay. והנה רחל ביתו באה עם הצאן. And his daughter Rachel is coming with a flock. Now, stop here for a second. Just even without too much knowledge, who do you think are the shepherds, male or female? Male. Isn't that little strange that Rachel is a shepherd female? Okay, right? What can you say about it? That she was the shepherdess? I don't know. Shepherd female, I don't know. How do you say shepherd female in English? Shepherdess? I thought I just made up a word. Very good. Okay. Shepherdess. Okay. Very good. What can we learn from the fact that that's just the narrative. No mefarshim. Just let's try to figure out the narrative itself. What can you learn? What can you think about that the father is willing to send his own daughter with the flock to a place that it's dominated by male and probably not the most educated people? What do you think? What do you think about Rachel and what do you think about her father? She's responsible and your name is? Emunah. Okay. אמונה, שרה, יעל, השירה. Okay, בסדר, we'll see if I'll remember all of you. Yes. He doesn't have a lot of? He doesn't care so much. And your name? Noah. Okay, so Noah suggested maybe Lavan really does not care so much about Rachel. He has a flock, that's what he's interested in, and whatever will be, will be. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
I learned today that Rachel is another word for sheep. So clearly Lavan cared a lot about sheep, and also I don't know if Lavan had any sons.
Oh.
Like, this is my child, and whoever this child is, they're going to work for the sheep. I don't really care about what they're supposed to do.
Okay, interesting. He is interested only in one thing, money, property, and his flock, and whatever will be something little similar to Noah. He doesn't care, he cares only about money. And that's why he's willing to send Rachel, but we know from Tanakh that being a shepherd means what? That you will become probably a leader. Now give me 1, 2, 3, at least three examples of shepherds who were leaders. Yes, David, and your name is? Orly, okay. Your name and the biblical figure. Oh, רחל, זה לא הוגן, אוקיי. יוסף. נכון, יפה מאוד. And? Moshe. And what's your name? Sophia? Okay, very good. So we have David, Moshe, Yosef, and someone would like to tell me someone else? Yes? Okay. And Shaul, נכון, יפה. Very good. So as you can see, most shepherds are leaders. And why? Because of the characteristics, the compassion, the idea. Oh, by the way, anyone here tried to lead a flock, being a shepherd? How did you do? Me too. Much easier to run a community. Really, it is so hard because you need to identify the sheep and then to try to lead her to lead the others. Not easy at all. Okay, so Rachel definitely has some characteristics of a leader. Okay, so Rachel comes along. ויאמר אין עוד היום גדול לא עת אאסף המקנה, השקו צאן ולכו ראו. Now this is even stranger than, hey brothers. He's a stranger. He comes from the land of Canaan. He does not know any of those shepherds, and now he gives them a musar shmuz. You know what is a musar shmuz, right? Sichat musar. He says to them, look, it's too early, it's even before lunchtime, and you are already resting here, and I guess the word here, because of the age, chilling, right? Chilling by the well, okay? And basically doing nothing. You need to work. You were hired, you were paid, and now you are just sitting idle by the well. Now, if someone, not Dr. Yocheved, someone else, total stranger, will come to you and say, למה אתן מבזבזות את הזמן? Why do you waste your time? Your parents pay tuition, you should learn. Why do you waste your time? What would you say to that person? Sarah? What would you say to that person? With all due respect, you don't know me. Don't give me musar. Now, even if you are really genuine, you will say, thank you, I appreciate it. I'll try my best, but you know what? It's really not your place to tell me what to do. You don't even know me. And Yaakov feels comfortable enough to call them brothers and at the same time to criticize them and to chastise them. And then they say to him, ויאמרו, לא נוכל עד אשר יאספו כל העדרים וגללו את האבן מעל פי הבאר והשקנו הצאן. He says, well, we are not just sitting here idle. We do, but we need to wait for all of us to come, and then we will remove the rock from the well, and then we can water the flock. עודנו מדבר עמם, so he's continuing to talk to them, but the Torah does not reveal what's the content of that conversation. ורחל באה עם הצאן אשר לאביה כי רואה היא. So Rachel comes along with a flock because she is a shepherd. ויהי כאשר ראה יעקב את רחל, so when Yaakov saw Rachel, בת לבן אחי אמו ואת צאן לבן אחי אמו, so he saw the flock and he saw רחל, ויגש יעקב, ויגל את האבן מעל פי הבאר. He removed the rock by himself. Just imagine. This rock that all the shepherds had to gather together to remove, Yaakov is doing it by himself. וישק את צאן לבן אחי אמו. And he watered Lavan's flock. Okay. There is so much to discuss in this narrative, but what I would like to do with you this evening is two things. One, to try to understand what is the reason that Yaakov approached those shepherds, those total strangers, as brothers. What can we learn from it as well? B, how come that Yaakov felt so comfortable, or maybe not, but he did, to approach them in such a way that was such a critical way? He criticized them for what they did, give them a sichat musar, give them a musar shmuz, and in a way there is no reaction from them. How can we explain that? So, Ralbag. Who was Ralbag? Anyone? Don't Google him. Who was Ralbag? It's really important to know a little bit about every person and to know the centuries that they came from. Because if you know what century this commentator came from, you can understand also the background. So, for example, Ralbag, Rabbi Levi ben Gershom. Okay, what century? End of 13, beginning of the 14th century. He was a doctor. He was, what do you call it, astrologist. Yeah, you copy everything from Hebrew, נכון? Astrolog. And he was a philosopher. And he said the following. התועלת הראשון, the first benefit that you can derive from this story, הוא במידות. What is מידות? Attributes. והוא שראוי לאדם שיהיו דבריו עם הבריות בנחת ובתכלית הפיוס. כי בזה ישלם השלום. He says, first you learn from here that when you approach people, approach them nicely. Approach them with the word brothers, not necessarily brothers, but in a nice way. Don't say, hey, you. Just approach people with sever panim yafot. And with that, think about it. If you will approach someone with a smile and in a nice way, he will do or she will do the same. And then you create a harmony in society. ויהיה לאדם מהאנשים העזר שיצטרך לו מהם. So, it's not only a benefit in terms of attribute, which is a little bit more altruistic, there is also a personal benefit. If you are nice to someone and someone feels this chemistry between you and him or you and her, he or she will definitely be more willing to what? To help you, to assist you. ולזה תמצא, and this is why, כאשר שאל יעקב מהרועים מאין הם, so this is why when Yaakov asked the shepherds, where are you from? אמר להם זה בנחת ובפיוס. He spoke to them in a very nice way. וקראם אחים לו. And he called them אחים, my brothers. So the first lesson that we can learn, that we can take with us really, I mean besides Sarah already had that lesson, when you see a group of people, strangers, and you need to talk to them nicely. They will probably respond nicely to you as well, even though, by the way, those shepherds are the wrong example. They were not nice to Yaakov. The Netziv. Anyone knows about the Netziv? First, yes. Naphtali, Tzvi, Yehuda, Berlin. Very good. What century? 19, very good. 19th century. Very good. From where? יפה. So the Netziv says the following. לימד לשונו, Yaakov taught himself, לדבר לשון אהבה ורעות. That's the last source on page 1. He taught himself to speak לשון אהבה ורעות, a language of love and friendship. על כן קרא לרועים שלא יכירם מעולם. Therefore he called those shepherds that he did not know them, Achai, my brothers. So, this is interesting. The Netziv says that you need to teach yourself to do it. Why do you think the Netziv says that you need to teach yourself to do it? Meaning to talk to someone nicely. It might mean someone, it means a stranger. Because what's the first reaction when you see a stranger? You don't want to talk to him. That's A. B, even if you want to talk to a stranger, you will talk to him very shortly. You don't want to really create a conversation. And Yaakov is teaching us that you need to train yourself to speak nicely even to people that you don't know. Don't take any conclusions from that of what happened on Shabbat. Okay, this is really not the issue. Okay, so now, until now we understood why Yaakov approached them as brothers. Now let's talk about the Sichat Musar, the lack of ethics that Yaakov tried to identify within the shepherd. So Rashi says, okay, Rashi, who is Rashi? Rabbi Shlomo Yitzchaki, okay, what century? 11th, very good. Where? In France. So if you want to know the times, it's 1040 to 1105, okay? Very good. So Rashi, known obviously for his commentary on Chumash, Talmud, Tanakh, everything, says Rashi, and Od Hayom Gadol, the day is still early. לפי שראה אותם רובצים, because he saw them just sitting idly by the well, כסבור, he thought, שרוצים לאסוף המקנה הביתה, ולא יראו עוד. So he thought that what? That the shepherds just want to sit by the well, do nothing, and then go home. אמר להם, אין עוד היום גדול. אם שכירים אתם, if you are being paid by the day, לא שילמתם פעולת היום. It's unethical to take money and not to work. You got paid for the entire day, working, not sitting here by the well. ואם הבהמות שלכם, and even if you are not working for someone else, but this flock is yours, לא עת אאסף המקנה. It's still time to what? To take the flock to go here and to go there, which means, what was the ta'ana that Yaakov had against the shepherds? In one line, one sentence. Yes? They were stealing, right? Now, do you see something little odd with Yaakov telling someone else not to steal? A bit, right? A bit, especially if we remember last week's Parshat, right? So we definitely not going to call it stealing, we're going to call it taking with Yaakov to some extent. But that's for a different shiur, not tonight. But Rashi says, basically, he's accusing them in stealing from their employers. Okay. Says Forno. Who was Forno? Rabbi Ovadia Sforno, 16th century Italy. Okay? So he says like that. What do we know about 16th century Italy? Anyone here with AP in Italy or anything like that? You remember AP? Okay, anything about Italy of 16th century? איך קוראים לתקופה הזאת, נכון? מה אמרת? רנסנס, נכון. What's your name? תמימה. Renaissance. So Renaissance, you have what? You have the idea of what? What is the idea of Renaissance? Okay, very good. Thank you. Says Forno, and עוד היום גדול, הצדיק ימאס את העוול גם כן אצל אחרים. Someone who is really righteous, someone who is really to his core is ethical, cannot stand injustice, even with others, even if that has nothing to do with him. Which means, justice and ethical behavior, it's not only when it bothers you, but it's also when it relates to someone else. Now, give me please an example of someone who is very known, who did the same thing, even though he paid a tremendous personal price of seeing injustice intervene and... Moshe, נכון מאוד. Who said it? What's your name? Ariela, נכון מאוד. Ariela is correct. Moshe. And give me the 3 examples of injustice that he saw. The first one is, שני אנשים בשירה, נו, עברים ניצים, right? The two Hebrews, the two Israelis who were fighting. Then what? No? The first one was איש מצרי מכה איש עברי. The second one, שני אנשים עברים ניצים. And the third one, Yitro's daughter and shepherds. And they were both non-Jews. So a non-Jew beat up a Jew, two Jews beating up each other, and then two non-Jews beating up each other or trying to do something injustice. And Moshe is willing to intervene, knowing that he's willing to pay a price, which means if you fully believe in justice and in ethical behavior, A, you are willing to sacrifice your own personal gain, A, B, it will always bother you to see something that it's unjust. And that's what Yaakov did. הצדיק ימאס. What is למאוס? מה זה מאוס? The what? Despise. Okay, that's a good word. Despise injustice. Okay. Now, you would think some people like to give a musar shmuz, but then they behave whatever they want. Unlike Yaakov. Yaakov says to his wives before they leave Lavan, ואתנה ידעתן, and you know, כי בכל כוחי עבדתי את אביכן. I worked for your father in all my might. הייתי ביום אכלה ניחורב וקרח בלילה, meaning I worked every season, snow, rain, heat, everything, ותידד שנתי מעיניי. And I had sleepless nights, trying to what? To watch over the flock. By the way, as a side note, in הלכות פועלים, in the laws of פועלים, what is פועלים? Workers. In יורה דעה, in the Shulchan Aruch. Who wrote the Shulchan Aruch? Rabbi Yosef Karo, very good. What's your name? Moriah. What century? 16. Where? Tzfat. But who is from Krakow at the same time? Rama, who is the abbreviation? Posek, Rabbi Moshe Isserlish, יפה מאוד, very good. So Rabbi Yosef Karo, who codified the Shulchan Aruch Yoreh De'ah, he brings, and that's based on the Rambam and the Gemarot, that part of the expectation from an employee, from a worker, is to be like Yaakov, which means when you get a job, which by the way has some modern ramification. You want one? When you have a job, and that's your working hours, not your lunchtime, can you go on Instagram? Just for 10 minutes. It's stealing, right? Do you think your employee will be okay with it? For 10 minutes? What about 15 minutes? What about if it takes you another half an hour to go back to work? You understand the expectations. Now, obviously, there are things that we already know and we assume that you will do it. But the question, there is always a fine line. When do you take advantage and when you do what is expected of you? So there are relevant halachic issues that can come exactly from this narrative. How much the worker needs to work and to put all his being in that job. Okay. Says the Ralbag, that you already know. Levi ben Gershom, very good, and end of 13th, beginning of 14th century. He says, התועלת השלישית הוא במידות. He says there is another benefit from this narrative. והוא שראוי לאדם שישתדל להישיר האנשים אל הטוב בכל הפנים שאפשר. He says you need to learn from Yaakov that you should and try to inspire people to do the right thing. Everywhere you go. כי בזה מתיקון המדינה. Because by doing so, you help society. מה שלא ייעלם אם שבזה תגדל האהבה בין אנשים, בהערותם קצתם לקצת כי הם משגיחים בענייניהם ומשתדלים שיהיו בתכלית התיקון והשלמות. Now, I know, sometimes to always get something like, oh, you need to do this better, you need to do this better, sometimes it's a bit annoying. So you need to learn how to do it. Give me another mitzvah in the Torah that is very similar to what we are talking about. הוכח תוכיח את עמיתך, what we call mitzvat tochecha. If you see someone You know what? Let's take an example that probably you don't know. Talking during davening. Did you hear about this problem that we have? No, because you daven well, I'm sure. If you see someone who does not daven well, talks all during davening, what should you do? היה כזה שקט כאן פעם. What do you do? Okay, easier. You see a friend of yours who is taking a bite from whatever, and she forgot to recite the bracha. Second day, you think still that she maybe forgot to recite the bracha, and the third time you know for sure that she purposely do not want to say the bracha. What do you say? Yes, what's your name? Aliza.
I think it's two different examples because let's say if you're in a shul davening and people are talking behind you, if you're telling them to be quiet, it could be out of like you can't focus and you want to work on yourself. Whereas if you're noticing that someone's not doing like saying a bracha, then like that's just like
You can say it in Hebrew.
no, I'm like blanking on the word.
Oh.
Well, no, like. Well, I really can't remember. Like
Okay.
telling them what they're doing wrong rather than for yourself.
Okay. It's like more of from a superior perspective, like you are not doing good, right? You are not doing the right thing. That's what you meant, Aliza? Okay, good. Okay, very good. What else? Anyone? Yes.
I probably wouldn't, unless I know my friend like actually working on trying to grow, like asking for help, that I probably wouldn't.
Okay, very good. So you feel it's not my place. How can I say that, right? And especially, let's say, if I am not that meticulous about brachot, how can I come and say something to someone else, right? Now, if you remember the first Ralbag, we spoke about the fact that you need to teach yourself to speak nicely to others and to be friendly to others. When you create this friendship, when you create this harmony, when you create this feeling that you care for someone, it's much easier to receive criticism from someone that you know that cares about you, right? You can have two people telling you something that you're not doing correctly. One, you don't really care about him and he or she do not care about you. And the other is someone that you really respect and you know that they care about you. You will be more receptive to get criticism from someone that you know that cares for you. That's what Yaakov is trying to do. Yaakov wants to create what we call tikkun olam. It's an Orthodox term. It's a Jewish term, it's an Orthodox term. Tikkun olam b'malchut Shakai. To fix this world and to make it divine. And if you want to make this world divine, Eloki, spiritually, the first thing that we need to make sure is that ethics and morality exist in our society. How do I know that? You're very nice. No one here want to challenge me. I said something that you should probably say, Rabbi, אני מצטערת, אני לא כל כך מבינה. I told you that in order to bring dira b'tachtonim, in order to bring Hashem in, so to speak here, we need to make sure that our society is ethical and moral. I didn't say religious. I didn't say shomeret Torah u'mitzvot. Obviously, I want it to be, but the first thing is morality and ethics. Why do I say that? What's my source? What's my source that you need to begin with ethics and morals? מה זה? Okay, very good, Sefer Bereshit. And Sarah, you need to wait until the end, until we see and the Natziv again. Yes? חיי שרה. No, sorry, רגע. Yeah, חיי שרה was there. רגע. אוי, ואריאל. את מי? אמונה. Yeah, okay.
Like before Avram or any of the Jews are given the Torah and the commandments, like we're told that he loves tzedek and mishpat, like Hashem says that about him.
יפה מאוד, when אברהם was chosen, למען ידעתיו, אשר יצווה את בניו ואת בני ביתו אחריו, השירה? ושמרו דרך השם לעשות צדקה ומשפט, יפה מאוד, very good. Okay, Third source for it. Yes.
We have the seven stuff and society isn't confusing everyone, and so we thought that is about morality.
יפה מאוד. 7 מצוות בני נוח mostly are talking about how do you create a moral society. And then the fourth source. ירמיה, ישעיה, יחזקאל, almost all the Nevi'im. When they criticize Am Yisrael, they criticize Am Yisrael for what? מה? יפה מאוד. What's your name? Riley? Okay, יפה מאוד. It's about tzedek u'mishpat. I would say, I don't know the percentages exactly, but probably 80 to 85% of the bikoret, of the criticism that comes from the Nevi'im on Am Yisrael is about lack of ethics and morals. And 15% about not keeping Shabbat, not doing the right things in the Mikdash, and not keeping some of the mitzvot. Now, let's see. You know what? We'll skip Shadal. Take a look at the Orach Chaim. Who is Orach Chaim? Rabbi Chaim ben Attar. Okay? Late 19th century. He says, Vayomer en od hayom gadol. Yaakov says to the shepherds, the day just started, why are you sitting here? Ta'amo, asher na'asa shofet lahem. He became like their judge. ולצד צער בעלי חיים דבר תורה וחש על הצאן. The Orach Chaim says that Yaakov looked at the flock and he said, the flock is suffering. You are sitting here by the well, it's hot, and the flock is suffering, which we call in halachic terminology, צער בעלי חיים. The Orach Chaim's perspective is original because he basically says it was not so much about the worker who does not work hard enough for his employer, but it was because of his passion and compassion towards the animals. By the way, flip the page. When the Orach Chaim talks about the pasuk, "V'Yaakov nasa Sukkota, ויבן לו בית ולמקנהו עשה סוכות, על כן קרא שם המקום סוכות." That Yaakov traveled to Sukkota and he built for himself a house, and for his flock he made Sukkot. Says the Orach Chaim, in the third line of the Orach Chaim, אולי כי עשה דבר חדש בחמלתו על המקנה, מה שלא עשה כן אדם קודם שיכין סוכה לבהמות, ולשינוי חדש קרא המקום עליו. Which means, the Orach Chaim says, Yaakov built a house for himself and for his family, and for the flock he built Sukkot. Orach Chaim asked a very simple question: why do we care? Why does the pasuk need to tell me that Yaakov built Sukkot? Answer: Yaakov said, look, I'll take care of my family by building a home, but what about the flock? They shouldn't be out there. Therefore he built Sukkah in order to create some shade for them. So you can see that Yaakov had this feeling and emotions in his heart for those animals to protect them, and no one else did it before him. Now, if we will pause here, we have one more mekdavar, which is more general. I would like to ask you a question. Let's see if we got it. Yaakov approaches those strangers with the word or with the name brothers. What can we derive from such a statement? First is, come on, the what? Okay, in order to do what? In order to create what? Harmony in society. Very good. One. Second. No. To prepare the ground that if needed, you will be able to approach them in a nice way because you are friends, and to try to help them to be better version of themselves. Very good. What else can we learn about Jewish ethics? Let's call it Jewish ethics. That it is not only for ourselves. It's to try to what? To have the idea of universalism, which means many people think that Judaism is the most particular religion because we are not going to what? To convert other people. But truly, Judaism is probably one of the most universalist religions because we always have in mind letaken olam. Not only ourselves, but the entire humanity. With that in mind, let's see the Netziv. The Netziv says the following: זה הספר הנקרא ספר בראשית, נקרא בפי הנביאים ספר הישר. We are on page 3. כדאית במסכת עבודת כוכבים. הוא מפרש רבי יוחנן, זה ספר אברהם, יצחק ויעקב שנקראו ישרים. Okay. So, okay, let's do a little trivia here. What are the two names for Sefer Bereshit? Bereshit and Sefer HaYashar. Very good. Okay. What are the two names for Sefer Shmot? One is Shmot and the second one is? מי אמר ספר הגאולה? יפה מאוד, צודקת, ספר הגאולה. אוקיי, ספר ויקרא, is ספר ויקרא and תורת כהנים, יפה מאוד. ספר במדבר, זה ספר במדבר וחומש הפקודים, יפה מאוד. וספר דברים, זה ספר דברים ומשנה תורה. Right? Interesting. Everyone has two names. Now, we're not going to explain all the names for all the Sfarim. I'm just going to focus today on Sefer Bereshit as Sefer HaYashar. What does it mean, Sefer HaYashar? The upright. Says the Netziv. והעניין, נתבאר בשירת האזינו, על הפסוק עצור תמים פעולו צדיק וישר הוא. דשבח ישר הוא נאמר להצדיק דין הקדוש ברוך הוא בחורבן בית שני, שהיה דור עיקש ופתלתול. Now, in פרשת האזינו, it says עצור תמים פעולו, that God is what? Is like a rock, then everything he does is true. צדיק וישר הוא. That God is righteous and upright. ישר. Chazal basically takes this pasuk and say that you need to associate it with Churban Beit HaMikdash HaSheni, that even though there was Torah and mitzvot in Beit HaMikdash HaSheni, the second temple, it was destroyed. So you need to believe that God did it, so to speak, for a reason. Says the Netziv, ופירשנו שהיו צדיקים וחסידים ועמלי תורה, אך לא היו ישרים בהליכות עולמים. שמעתם מה שהנציב אומר? What? Okay, so we will translate. שמעתם? Did you hear what the Netziv said? People during Beit HaMikdash HaSheni were Talmidei Chachamim. They were scholars, they were rabbis. They knew Torah, they kept mitzvot, but they were not yesharim, they were not straight, they were not ethical and moral in their behavior. And it came to expression, I would say, מפני שנאת חינם שבליבם. שחשדו את מי שראו שנוהג שלא כדעתם ביראת השם, שהוא צדוקי ואפיקורוס. This is an incredible Netziv. He says, during Beit Sheni, during the second temple, you know, there were different kitot or katot, different groups in Judaism. Give me names of 3 or 4. Prushim, what we will call Orthodox today. Okay, what else? Tzdukim, Saddusim, very good. Karaim came a little later. Isim, what we know from Qumran, that they found all those manuscripts in Qumran, in the Judean desert. That's called Isim. Also, early Christians were at the time of the Second Temple. Early Christians that were Jews. I'm not talking about the pagans. So we have different katot. And the Netziv says, you know what was their problem? Of the people who learned and everything? They will always stigmatize everyone else who is not exactly like them as an apikoros, as someone who is not religious and perhaps even not Jewish. That's not constructive criticism. This is not how a true Talmid Chacham behaves. True Talmid Chacham behaves with understanding that even if someone is a bit different than him, he can still be part of the Jewish people. According to the Netziv, that was the reason for the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. That's the meaning of Sinat Chinam. I'm not talking about that we can have debates with people. Not everything goes. Not everything is great. However, there is need to be an understanding of when do you posel. What is posel? When do you dismiss someone from what we will call the Jewish people? So then the Netziv continues. וזה היה שבח האבות. And that was the praise of our ancestors. שמלבד שהיו צדיקים וחסידים ואוהבי השם באופן היותר אפשר, even though Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov were so tzaddikim, were righteous and pious people, עוד היו ישרים. They were also ישרים. What did they do? שהתנהגו עם אומות העולם, אפילו עובדי אלילים מכוערים. מכל מקום היו עמם באהבה וחשו לטובתם באשר היא קיום הבריאה. He says, you look at Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. All of their stories are stories between them and who? Avram is dealing with whom? With people like him? He dealt with whom? Idol worshippers. That was in his hometown. Later on with Paro Melech Mitzrayim. Later on with Avimelech. Later on with Ephron. None of them shared any commonality between him and them. Sodom and Amorah. He was fighting for Sodom and Amorah because that's the yashar thing to do. And that's why he became Abraham. Yitzchak, all his dealings with whom? With Avimelech, with Ro'ei Grar, with the fight that his shepherds had with the other shepherds. It's all that. Yaakov, only with Lavan, Nahor, and then Esav. Says the Netziv, you can be tzaddik, you can be Talmid Chacham, but you need to be what? Yashar. When do we say the word Yashar in Tefillah? I'll give you a hint. Shabbat. Morning. Shachrit. Before Baruch Hu. You are not making that too early to davening? Befi Yesharim Tithalal. What is Tithalal? You will be praised. By whom? Yesharim. So, the Netziv continues on. And he says, page 4, because of the time we're going to skip to page 4. At the end, he says, ובדברנו, ממש the last line, ובדברנו נתיישב יפה. על מה נקרא זה הספר, ספר הישר, שהוא ספר הבריאה. Basically says the Netziv, ספר בראשית is really the beginning, the introduction to our mission in life as people. Which means we need to know, we will call it derech eretz kadma laTorah. But derech eretz means to be an ethical person, a moral person. Someone who cares about society, cares about his own advancement in terms of spirituality, but also the advancement of others. So, if I would ask you, why Sefer Bereshit is called Sefer HaYashar, what would you say? The what? And now, let's build it up. And I will try to give you a common line between all the Sfarim. If Sefer Bereshit is Sefer HaYashar, it teaches you how to behave. Sefer Shmot teaches you what? The what? Elevate yourself, because there is some kind of disappointment at the beginning of Sefer Bereshit from humanity. There was a chosen people and chosen family. That chosen family became what? A nation. That's in Sefer Shmot. And this nation received what? Torah. Very good. And they are on their way to the land of Israel. Sefer Vayikra is about what? If I would ask you, summarize for me Sefer Vayikra, it's about what? מה זה? Korbanot, Mishkan. The word that I'm looking for is Kedusha. Holiness. Sefer Bamidbar is you take this understanding of Bereshit, Shmot, Vayikra, and you go on a journey. This journey tests everything you learned before, because you are dealing with other people and how to implement everything you learned. And what is Sefer Dvarim? More of implementation, but also a warning that if you accumulate too much, you can go back to what? To beginning of Bereshit and to be corrupt, like Dora Mabul. So, I hope I gave you some food for thought, just to think about, not only about the Parsha, but really about life. This is your time of your life. You will never, ever have this opportunity again to study for a year or two. The Shana Bet here? Shana Bet? Okay. So that's a privilege to have that and to be able to immerse yourself in learning and really to advance yourself spiritually and ethically and morally. And to be connected, obviously, to Medinat Israel. After that, each one of you will go wherever you go. Hopefully, you all stay here. All of you are planning to stay here in Israel? No, I'm not talking only about planning. Bezrat Hashem being here. Okay, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So thank you so much. Be'atzlacha rabba.